Hello, and welcome back to this last of the set of videos within our Good Trouble series. What I'm going to be looking at within this short video is going to be what makes a good, strong discussion response. Now, the initial post that you're going to be making is probably going to be a little bit more similar to the essay that we talked about, an analytical essay in the previous video. Doesn't necessarily need to be as long because you're not going to soliloquize, you're not going to stand up in a discussion and speak for 5 minutes as you would if you were writing 2 or 3 pages in an essay, but a lot of the same ideas to kind of establish your point of view, and then provide some evidence in support of that point of view. But how do you respond to others? How do you respond to add to or expand on your point, or how do you kind of respond to points that others have made within the discussion? So how do you kind of rebut? How do you respond in an ongoing discussion, whether it's in person or in this class in an asynchronous discussion board? So again, using a quote that I think is pretty relevant to this course and to our discussions in particular. This is from Arthur Martine. It's within Martine's Handbook of Etiquette and Guide to True Politeness that came out in 1866. And he states, in disputes upon moral or scientific points, let your aim be to come at truth, not to conquer your opponent. So you never shall be at a loss in losing the argument and gaining a new discovery. And that's a point I really want to emphasize. It's fine that we disagree with one another, but we should not be attacking one another personally. We should be focusing in on trying to come to an understanding, and maybe an understanding to agree to disagree, but taking a look at coming up with this understanding rather than conquering your opponent. Don't look at attacking, don't look at winning. The goal is to have a good, strong discussion so that we are able to learn from the diverse perspectives within this course. Now, from my perspective, what makes a good discussion post corresponds very good or very specifically with Daniel Dennett's How to Compose a Successful Critical Commentary. And so I'm going to be using his points and expanding on them as we go forward within this. Now, the first one is you should attempt to re-express your target's position so clearly, vividly, and fairly that your target says, "Thanks, I wish I'd thought of putting it that way." Now, when we're having these discussions, we want to try to make sure that we understand our opponent's viewpoint, or at least I don't want to make it sound like opponents, but to understand the conflicting viewpoint, to understand another person's viewpoint. And so that we're not, attacking points that they're not necessarily making. We're not arguing off on some tangent, but we're really thinking about what it is that their point of view is and what the statement is that they've made from that point of view. The second step in a good, successful commentary or a good discussion post is to respond by indicating some of the points of agreement, especially when they're matters they're not necessarily general or widespread agreement already. So kind of recognize that in many cases, we may not necessarily disagree on everything. We may disagree on some small points. And that, I think, is sadly lost in this polarized society right now. We don't see how we are able to come together. We're focused in on our differences. So look at how we are able to agree with one another, at least at some level, in your response. You may want to mention anything that you've learned from the response that you're from the information that was presented to you. And so in many cases, we're going to learn from these diverse perspectives and use that to make a stronger point as we're moving forward. And then finally, once you've been able to kind of rephrase what the position, the other person's point is, listed some points of agreement, then you're going to give a word of rebuttal or a word of criticism or kind of advance your position. And so basically, let's see what we agree on and say, yeah, but what about this? What about if we add this additional evidence in? What about if we take a look at this from a slightly different perspective? Where does that get us? How do we use that information to kind of come to a better understanding about what's going on? And again, the goal in these discussions is not to attack your opponent and win. It's to have a discussion, to have a civil and respectful discussion of the topic that we're focusing in on that given day, rather than attacking each other individually. And if we are able to do that, we're going to have strong discussions in which we're going to be able to learn from one another. And that's my goal for this course. So thank you for watching this series of videos. As always, please see the description below for additional information and references. Thank you, and have a great day.